Hello, welcome in everybody. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with all of you. Welcome in. Hello, Kana and Cult of the Hermits. Welcome in, Kelzoon. And Chaos Chameleon, nice to see you. Venomized Toothless, hello, hello. And Yaran, our lovely mod. I'm excited to do some fan art, guys. Hello, Chaos Chameleon, welcome. Yeah, so I've been gathering references for like the last half hour and trying to find the best references. And you may have guessed, those of you who voted on the poll told me that you want to see me draw hands and human anatomy. As you can see, Ahsoka Tano and General Grievous are almost neck to neck. General Grievous is won the poll, so I will be focusing on drawing him today. But if you are here for Ahsoka Tano, I will also draw. I will attempt to draw both of them. I was thinking, like, how can I incorporate both of them? And I thought, well, maybe it would be good to draw them in a fight scene. Wouldn't that be fun? What I did was I collected some references of the both of them so that we can illustrate them and maybe like do some style studies as well. Let me know who your favorite Star Wars villain or hero is. I tried to choose some unconventional ones, but I still have a lot of catch up to do. Yeah, 2 of your favorite characters? Yeah, awesome. Welcome in Feather 4CL. I don't actually know about the Bozto 16 HD series. I do not know. I use an XPPen. And I know that between our team, we use XPPen and probably like Wacom's. So yeah, if you didn't know, and if this is the first time joining us, we are Wing Canvas. We're an online school of illustration dedicated to helping art nerds turn your passion into income. And today we're going to be doing some fan art because it is Star Wars Day. And so the 2 people that were chosen today were Ahsoka Tano, who is a Togruta Jedi. And I believe she was introduced in the Clone Wars and grew from Anakin Skywalker's Padawan into someone who's more independent. I think she lost faith in the Jedi Order and then she left, but she continued fighting against the Empire. So she's kind of this this Jedi who is an outcast, and so is General Grievous. So let's see here. General Grievous, what a name. He had such a tragic story. General Grievous is a Kalish warrior who then was like this ruthless warlord and was in a horrific accident, and then they made him into a cyborg. And he has 4 arms. But this is what he looked like before. So this was General Grievous before. And then this is kind of what he looked like after the accident. So I'm not a expert on the entire story, but I'm just so floored at how deep the Star Wars characters go. And so funny enough, they actually meet. There's actually a scene where Grievous fights Ahsoka Tano. And yeah, I thought it would be really fun to create that fight scene. Do you guys want to see me do a fight scene, or do you guys want to do some style studies? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I do want to. I did have some ideas to do a fight scene, but yeah, I'm a little bit like, oof. It might take a little bit of time. So let me know. Darth Vader is your favorite? Yeah, if Darth Vader is your favorite, you can check out one of our animation videos where Josh actually animates Darth Vader's cape and makes it blow in the wind. And it's pretty cool. So anyway, today I'm going to walk you through how to draw some of your favorite characters. And then we'll jump right into a live demo so that you can see how you can do this in real time. So if there's a hero or a villain that you want to draw, you can use the same techniques that I'm going to be showing you, or you can draw along with me. And by the end, hopefully you'll not only feel comfortable, drawing your own fight scene or your own characters in different, different action scenes. You'll also be more confident in making clearer, more intentional choices, speeding up your workflow. So, also big shout out to our Discord community. If you are here from Discord, big shout out. We're almost at 9,000 people on Discord, and we just hit 475K on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. And yeah, if we haven't met, my name is Faye. I'm one of the instructors here at Wing Canvas, and we've got about 2 hours together. So let's get to it. Yeah, and I want to know some Star Wars lore because I have a lot to catch up on. I just like watch the originals. There's like so many cartoon versions. Cartoon Network has a really cool version of it as well. So I have lots to catch up on, but First thing is, let's get into some, I just want to draw some quick shapes here to get us going. So I absolutely love this Cartoon Network version of General Grievous. He's just such a character here. Like, you can see the sadness, right? You can really see the sadness in his back, in the way that he arches forward, right? It's almost like this arc is like, it's half bowing, half kind of like slavery almost, right? Very sad. His body language is incredible, even in like a cartoon context. So I thought it would be really fun to just kind of start drawing out some of those shapes, right? And kind of translating it into into just like a flat shape, into flat shapes. So the first thing would be to, like draw the overall gesture of it. Say like here. And then there's so many different versions of him, but I really like the live action version. I think I like the live action version the least because I think the cartoons have such a great way of simplifying this character. So the first thing I look at is just like breaking him down into shapes. He's got this triangular shape, and then this cloak. Right. And generally, if you make his head a little bit smaller, then he's going to look more threatening. But like pretty much this is it, right? Just some lines here. And his eyes are this triangular shape. And some little details. You're a Star Wars fan, Kelzoon, and a Star Trek fan. You know what? I grew up with Star Trek on TV, and I always just like I didn't think that I would like it, and then as a teen, I started getting more into it, and then as an adult, I watched the new Star Trek, and I actually thought it was really good. And so, yeah, we're gonna do some dynamic poses. Venomized Toothless says General Grievous is one of the last of his species and is a cyborg. He has the lightsabers of Jedi and he's hunted and killed. Yeah, so he's got 4 lightsabers. Trained under Count Dooku. Cool. Yeah, he's got such a sad story. And just like he wanted to actually die with his troops, but then with the rest of his crew, but sadly he survived, and then they kind of made him into this warrior. So anyway, drawing the shapes, I'm also going to draw Ahsoka Tano. So right next to him, kind of following along with this, I'm just going to replace this villain over here with her. And to do that, I'm just going to draw her in. So I kind of like how he's got like an arched back like this. Right. Let's make her a little bit smaller. And I'm gonna kind of keep to a very stylized, very geometric shape. So if her head is more human-like, like this, right, I'm going to draw her headdress, which is very Egyptian inspired. Reminds me of the kind of pharaoh mask. I don't really know much about her story, but she seems like a really cool character. And then I can erase all of this stuff. So I always draw the structure of the head and the neck behind everything, because I find that if I don't, then it always feels really stiff. Right, and here what I might do is I might actually have her looking up at him. And then maybe her arm is kind of just coming straight down. They're just having a conversation. And she's a lot more human-like than he is. So that could be like a simple silhouette. That could be really, really effective as a starting point, because these characters can be fairly complex, and sometimes starting off with just like shapes is the easiest way to approach something like this. So this is not a fight scene yet. This is just them meeting, and it's me kind of experimenting with different styles to see what would work best. So if you're engaging in the chat, just give me a moment. I gotta focus on this, and then I will get to your questions and comments. Okay. Yeah, happy Star Wars days, our Tempest. Welcome in. And Sunny Riverdown. May the 4th be with you too. I feel the force. My breakfast cereal moved in my bowl today without me touching it, so the force is there for sure. Christium DM Reloaded. General Kenobi. Yeah, classic. Love Kenobi. A cool thumbnail idea would be Grievous hunting, stalking Ahsoka while Ahsoka tries to jump on Grievous. Yeah, okay, cool. I like that. Yeah, my husband's trying to get me to watch The Mandalorian. I've watched a couple episodes, but we can never agree on what to watch. So definitely something that I have to catch up on. Cool. So this is kind of this one here is a very simple cartoon composition where it's really just the two of them here having a moment. And then I think I wanted to do something more epic, like more like this, right? Where it's them fighting, and maybe they're fighting on a red planet. So I really do like the atmosphere of this planet. I don't remember where they are. If anybody knows, let me know. But I really like this kind of earthy, dusty planet, rather than like a cold space, because I find that it's like in this top scene here with the desert, right? In this scene, it's a little bit harder to see Ahsoka Tano because she's got very similar colors as the desert. Whereas in this scene, right, it's very easy to see her, but it's harder to see General Grievous because he's kind of the same color as the metal background. So I might, because we're focusing on General Grievous, I think I'm going to go with the desert background. But sometimes just studying very simple shape language can really help you map out your character, right? So starting out with shape language, you can see that Grievous has this cape, and sometimes he can look kind of, you know, not very intimidating when he has this cape on. He kind of just looks mysterious. But when he has his cape off, he kind of looks like this he's got like spider-like qualities, right? He's kind of got this type of build, and he becomes much more threatening. So I think studying the shapes can really help you understand how to put things together. So for example, if I had to just like break down the shapes on him, you can see that his torso looks kind of like an underwear shape. Right? It looks like, it kind of looks like an underwear shape. He's got a really thin waist, and then he's got these hips that kind of protrude out, with these sort of round artificial joints. And then you can kind of just draw a general sort of stick figure here, right? And his arms open up. So right now you see that they're that in this image that he's only using 2 lightsabers, but they actually split open like this, right? And then he can actually hold 4 lightsabers. So if we wanted to, we could just kind of like draw in where those joints would be, right? And like map everything out. And then he's got these like giant claw-like feet. And he's a digitigrade, so he stands on his toes instead of his heels. So like this, and then I can't actually see what his hands look like, but he's got these like big plates that kind of come out this way. I would think that they're symmetrical, and then his claws like this. And then his head. So head to body proportions is really important. And I think a lot of people can get that wrong. So let me just move this here. So when you're drawing the head, you got to make sure that you kind of compare how many heads you can fit into the torso, because sometimes that can really help. So what you can do is, if you have a reference picture, you can sort of like draw out the ball and shield, or just this shape, right? So once I'm drawing on top of this reference here. So once I draw on top of that shape, I can kind of see, all right, well, his neck is similar in size to his head, which is actually, pretty common for very muscular male characters. And then you can see how many heads I can fit into his body, right? Probably 1, 2, 3 across, and then maybe like 1, 2, 3 going this way. So total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can fit 6 heads in his body. Okay. So that means if I had to roughly calculate or roughly gauge how big his head would be, it would be like this. And then I can make his head a little bit longer because he's got that skull mask, that very iconic skull mask, right? So you can basically assemble your character using just very simple shapes like this. And we actually recently did a stream on how to draw paws and claws. So I'm not going to go into the paws and claws, but even if you have like a general shape for where you want, the claws to fit, that could really help. So anything that you can draw for yourself, like the joints, right? Some basic shapes, and then flesh it out. Before adding details, so you can kind of draw in a basic structure. Okay. The planet is Geonosis. Did I pronounce that right? Geonosis. Nice, thank you. In Geonosis. Let me write that down so I don't forget. I'm gonna take your word for it. Geonosis. Your favorite thing about being an artist is the ability to make fan art. Yeah, I know. We all, I think a lot of us start making art for fan art. Then we're like, okay, well, let's work on the foundations. Okay. His hands split with his arms. His fingers go 2, 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has 6 fingers. Oh, that's so cool. His hands split with his arms. Okay. I don't have a good picture of it. Let's see. See, this one, it looks like he's got 2 separate hands, but I guess it depends on the, like on this one, it looks like he's got 1 hand, but his arm sort of splits. Here, it looks like his arm kind of splits at the elbow. It's a little bit unclear. This one, and this is why you probably need several references, right? So that you can kind of understand, okay, well, this one, it looks like he's got 2 hands, and it looks like it's splitting from the shoulder joint. And then you can kind of decide how you want to draw it to best suit your style. Yeah. Okay, so I want to base my final piece, because I do want to do some rendering and stuff. I want to base it on this final fight scene over here. So I want to show you guys how to create a fight scene and how to put everything together into a final piece. So I think what I'm going to do first is to just create a background and turn off some of the some of the layers of references. But before I do, I just want to show you some different styles of General Grievous. You have this, you know, live action style up here, which is very scary, very realistic, and lots of rendering and 3D. I love how some of the colors on the lightsaber are reflecting on bits and pieces of his armor, but here you can see he's mostly black, right? Just like a black silhouette, and then some highlights. So I think that's how I'm going to approach it. I also really love this comic book style illustration of him, and here he almost looks like he's he doesn't have metal, but he has like a white skull, or like bone colored skull. This reminds me of like almost like Warhammer type illustrations. And then you got the Cartoon Network one, which is very angular, right? Lots of angles, lots of points. You can see that the triangles are like totally pointy instead of stylized, but it preserves the same kind of snake-like eyes. And I really love the cartoon style, personally, but I will reference all of them just to see what kind of unique style I'd be able to draw in. We have an hour and a half. So yeah, so let's see how much we can get done. With Ahsoka, you can see that she is pretty much very human-like, right? Like she's got kind of really skinny arms, but and pointy knees, looks like cowboy boots, and this sort of headdress. But she's pretty much just like a normal human with a slightly bigger head, maybe more kind of anime-like proportions. So she's going to be a little bit easier to draw. It's mostly him that is more mechanical, so we're going to need to spend more time on him. Okay, so I'm just going to isolate a couple of references. So let's make a copy, and I'm going to take it out of the references here. Okay, so I'm just going to remove some of this stuff. Whoops. What layer did I draw it on? Here we go. All right. Okay. So if this is the main one that I'm going to focus on, let's turn this off. And we're gonna start a fresh page. So, let's see. I also wanted this desert landscape here. Let's take it out. So we can reference some of the colors. This I actually took from a screenshot. I slowed it down. So sometimes if you can't find the exact reference you want, you can actually look to films. So for example, if you want to recreate a fight scene, a good thing to do would be to actually watch a fight scene or go into a video that has a fight scene, and then to actually like slow down the videos till it's like at 0.25% or something, so it's like in slow motion, and then you can go in and take some screenshots to kind of help you with the action. So I'm going to start a new layer. So I'm going to start with this tan color in the background. And then I'm going to start by just painting in some of the landscape to kind of help me place the scene. So I really like this Dutch angle. I like how the two characters are fighting, but it's not on a very level scene. It's on this angle. It's almost like they're on a hill or something like that. So maybe I could put them on like a ledge so it feels more dangerous. You know, I can kind of put them on this ledge here. And then I would start by doing a sketch. And I'm going to start with actual silhouettes. I feel like putting in silhouettes might be a little bit easier because instead of like drawing out the outlines of things, I'm starting off by using silhouettes. So I'm going to use like a black color for Grievous. You highly recommend the 2003 animated series. Yes, I really want to see the animated series. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And that's where I got some of these screenshots from as well, so I definitely would be interested. I'm gonna do the same thing here where I'm just gonna draw in the gesture of this character. Right, I want to do my best to kind of exaggerate him as much as possible. So starting off by drawing the gesture, then drawing in those shapes. Some of the shapes, like you want to simplify them as much as possible, right? So that it's a lot easier to visualize and a lot easier to draw at different angles. I'll always remember that his torso looks like underwear. Funny. But then as soon as you draw like the I guess the trapezius muscles, or what looks like that at the back, it starts to look more like a kite and less like underwear. And he's got this like really long kind of skull-like appearance, and I'm actually going to make his neck a little bit longer. So I don't want to copy it exactly. I'm going to use the pose, but I want to change some of it up, and I also want to draw all 4 of his arms instead of just 2, right? That's why you guys voted for Grievous, right? You just want to see me draw lots of hands. So even for robots like this, I will draw the gesture of the arm as like a slightly curved, because it's going to be able to make the pose feel more dynamic and more human-like, even though it's robotic. So yeah, I think in this fight scene, Ahsoka manages to escape back to her ship. even though she was held captive in this particular scene. She was held captive by pirates and then still has to fight Grievous. I like the bottom leg better, so I'm kind of taking... I'm using both references to see which one I want to incorporate. I'm kind of like incorporating parts of both. So I think here he's got claws going this way. So what I'm going to do is actually just color this in and use a more chiseled pen. Is there a more square pen here? Let's use this. Hi, Starverse Dimension. Happy Star Wars Day. So I think that painting by starting off with a silhouette can be really effective. It can be really easy because you're just focused on the silhouette. You're not focused too much on the other things like lighting, like shading, right? And silhouette can do so much. Like, have you ever walked down the street and seen somebody who reminds you of someone, right? Like, you may see them from really far away, but maybe it's just their mannerisms that, or just their silhouette that actually reminds you of somebody familiar, right? If that's ever happened to you, then you'll know that. And then, like, maybe you see them up close and you're like, oh, that doesn't look like my friend at all. But, you know, from far away, they really look like them. So that's why, like, silhouette is one of the most underused tools. And if you're going to paint, like if you're going to paint fan art, just kind of sticking with a silhouette can be really strong, can be a really easy way for you to capture a pose. So here I'm just doing everything in black first for both characters and then working on them together. Yeah, if you get distracted too easily, then you kind of have to get lock up your device while you're drawing. Turn off your notifications. There's so many. We live in the age of distractions. It's very difficult because everything is competing for your attention, right? So it's very, very difficult. We don't even have a chance to be bored anymore. And boredom is sometimes when you are the most creative. Okay. So here, let's see, if I want to separate his arms, I'm just gonna make it up here. Let's say he's got this arm coming out, going this way. then this one would probably be coming out from here. So I'm just guessing, and then if it looks weird, then I'll readjust. So yeah, I love working in silhouette because it can be so easy, right? So easy to just kind of see overall if things are working. Time challenges, redrawing in cartoon styles. Yeah, those are all really good. Draw the things that you like, right? Try to make, yeah, I think making practice more fun. Joining our live streams so that you dedicate 2 hours, right, to drawing every week. Drawing along with us. Doing our monthly challenges. So speaking of challenges, I will be going through our monthly challenge soon. I just wanted to get started with this demo before. But we do have a monthly challenge on our Discord, and it helps keep our community creative. So you can join our Discord and you can do the monthly challenge and be featured on stream. If you post your artwork, you can definitely get a chance to be featured. All right, so we got General Grievous here. Just kind of refining some other parts of his silhouette before I move on. Mostly going after just his menacing look, right? Just his super menacing look. And I also like the kind of like folded notches on the bottom example. It gives him that hunched look. So I'm gonna add that back in. Not working out so well in this angle, but let's do this. And then maybe some of the wires kind of like showing through, right? That he's a cyborg. The wires kind of peeking through and adding some more detail to him. All right. So now, who is he fighting? Let's draw in his nemesis here. So with Ahsoka, we're gonna make her much smaller, so that, you know, she actually so that he feels much larger. So I'm just gonna make her this dark red color, and I'm gonna make her kind of, again, still same silhouette. I'm gonna make her like she's almost in this yoga pose. Right? She's in this like a lunge, and her arms look so tiny compared to him. So let's draw in her arms here, and then her face. We want to make sure that they're looking at each other, right? So then I'm going to start to draw in her silhouette as well. Some advice when it comes to finishing stuff. That's a good question. So I would say, like, you know, don't worry so much if you don't finish stuff. Sometimes I have artwork that's like unfinished for years because I just don't know what to do with them, or I lose interest in working on them, and that's okay. You don't have to finish everything that you start. But generally it makes sense to, you know, try to finish, or at least try to finish it to a level where it's readable, right? Like a refined sketch, or even a very, very simple style, like a cartoony style, can be a little bit less intimidating than trying to finish something completely rendered, right? Sometimes if you just kind of treat it like a study, it can be a little bit less, stressful, because it's like, okay, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's more so just a form of practice. And try that and see if that helps. The other thing you could do is just work from timed studies. So give yourself a set time on a timer, and then you know, just draw for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then not worry, like as soon as the pose ends, then it's done, right? It's harder when you have to when you're worried about, like, sorry, trying to draw and think. It can be hard when you're worried about like a bunch of things too. So kind of breaking down your process can be really helpful for finishing artwork. For example, if you follow the GSL method, which is a method of figure drawing that I coined for simplifying figure drawing, right, into 3 distinct phases. You can focus on one phase at a time. So you can focus on just the gesture, you can focus on just the shapes, right? Like that's what I'm doing. I focus just on the gesture. Now I'm focusing just on the shapes. And then after that, I might focus on the form. So putting in some lighting, making sure that things are you know, lit properly, making sure that things have good form and make sense, right? That can happen later. So it's like one stage at a time, and then you can just kind of finish one stage instead of worrying about the entire thing. Yeah, it is hard to lock in on projects too, so maybe having an accountability buddy can really help with that. If you are looking for an accountability buddy, you can join our Discord and find somebody who wants to be pinged to work on stuff with you, work on finishing your artwork. At our school, we actually have mentorship classes to help you finish your artwork. So that can be helpful for some people. So this headdress thingy is confusing. I tried to make it come through the front, but it's actually confusing. It's confusing her silhouette. So I'm just going to leave it out. But even working in silhouette, like you can see, helps tremendously, right? It just kind of helps you plan everything out before committing too many resources to the other stuff. There we go. Then I can draw in some of her skirt kind of coming down, just making sure that I'm not confusing the silhouette at all. Right? Maybe where her boots start. And the lightsabers. So the lightsabers, I should put them in for sure. Let's see if I do, let's see if I do color dodge, what that would look like. So what color are the lightsabers that Grievous stole? Does anyone know? Like, are they green, blue? I feel like they're green and blue. So I'm just gonna kind of like draw them in. There's one right there. There's one here. Let's do one here. This one's gonna go. This one's gonna go straight up. Let's make this one blue. And we'll do. Okay. And Venomized Toothless, you're like an encyclopedia. This is great. Has only green and blue lightsabers. Ahsoka has 2 green, one longer than the other. Oh well, okay, so she uses 2 as well. All right, cool. All right, so let's give him a blue one. I'm not quite sure where to put this one. Let's put it over here. It's like disorienting how many he's got here. And she's got a green one. So let's do green. And this one is going to like I want them to be interacting. So let's do this. Let's do this big jumbo here. And I have to change her hands in this case. But there, now I have my general fight scene all done in just in silhouette, right? So you can see how this can be a little bit more simple. Chaos Chameleon says, yeah, and when I want to animate, it's boring drawing the same thing and over again. I need to get used to it and try to make it fun. Animation is not for everyone, you know? Like animation, I really wanted to do animation when I was just like in school. Animation was kind of like what made me want to be an artist. And then I tried animation for the first time, like traditional hand-drawn animation, and I was like, wow, it's very repetitive. It's not fun. It's not fun for me. So then I had to learn, right, that it wasn't like I love the character design, I love the visual development, I love the storytelling, and then that's why I kind of became an art director and not an animator, is because I tried it. And so it's not for everybody. Like it definitely looks like it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, right? A lot. All right, cool. So let's see. I probably want to do a little bit more work on the background. I do like to jump around so that I can work a little bit faster. So on this paint layer, I do like that there is kind of like a landscape kind of in the background here. And so I'm going to use this color, just make it a little bit darker. Maybe like a little bit redder. Oh, that's way too dark. Just want to add a little bit more range here in the background. So I might need to use like a airbrush here and just almost make the sky, give the sky a little bit of atmosphere. And then I do like that arc, but I find that it's easier when I lasso things. So sometimes I'll use the lasso tool and draw it this way rather than trying to just paint it on. Oh, look at the lightsaber react to that. So cool. Right, so there's kind of more mystery here in the background. And this is more like concept art than like super rendered illustration, and sometimes this type of flat drawing can be really helpful. Okay, so we have a little bit of a background. Again, it doesn't really matter, right? As long as you get the idea, I think that's fine, right? Like you get the idea that it's a desert. And I do like how there's like some reds in the background as well. So again, I can stay in my values and then just kind of shift it a little bit warmer. And then use my airbrush tool and just kind of give it a little bit of warmth. In the background. That's kind of nice. Okay, so now let's actually, we'll take a pause and we're going to look at some submissions. So some of you have mentioned you have trouble finishing artwork, or you may not be able to create as much as you want. And so I would say doing a challenge would be a really good thing for your creative growth. If you join our Discord, we post our challenges once a month, and you can submit your artwork to our challenge and be featured on stream. So this month's challenge is Jobs of the Future. We are future themed for this month. That's why we are starting off with the Star Wars stream. But what kind of jobs do you think there will be in the future? 500 years from now? 1,000 years from now? In your, in your world that you're building. And let's look at what some people have submitted. So this is by Absolute Knife of Hyper Stabby. This is a little robot character that was designed. I think it's great. I really love the shading and the texture on it. I really like how it's not super smooth and it has lots of texture. Very friendly robot. I really like how you designed the poster. It looks really good. And yeah, thank you so much for submitting. I hope to see more of your artwork in the future. And another submission by Cyberman J. This is a firefighter of the future. So they've got some hardcore equipment on, some that we recognize, but this mask is really cool looking. So really nicely done. I love how it's framed and it has the fire truck and the water. Really, really well done. So yeah, if you join our monthly challenge and submit your artwork on Discord, then you can have a chance to get your artwork featured on stream. Cool, thanks guys for submitting. If you're on Instagram, you can also DM us your submission or tag your submission at Wing Canvas and we'll cheer you on and reshare some of your work. Okay, so let's continue here. So we've got our silhouettes done. Now we can think about coloring everything. And one of the most challenging things about coloring is to keep things consistent, right? To keep things as consistent as possible. So let me first off just name everything so I don't get lost. All right. Yeah, definitely share your creations. If you're doing some Star Wars fan art with us, I would love to see it. All right. Let's see. Now let's talk about lighting. Without going into too much detail, I think the best way for me to do lighting is again by using this lasso tool here and just drawing in the shapes and kind of not worrying too much about whether I get them right or not. I'm just gonna select this entire part here of the face, and I'm gonna try to mimic the lighting on the reference on the top left. So I'm going to lock my layer and then start to add in some of these green colors. Now, if I just took the green and I started, coloring on top of it like this, right? It's going to look really, really green, like really unnatural. So I'm probably going to start with because I want everything to be black overall, if I use this green, it's going to be very similar to the color of the background. So I still have to keep it, I'm going to keep it green, but I'm also going to keep it a little bit darker. And so like bring it towards this turquoisey color. And just start by painting in some of these, and then I'm going to deselect. I mean, I like using the lasso tool because I feel like I have more control. But different people have different ways of working. Like if I do all of that green and then I shift it over to blue, I can kind of make it more blue on one side and green on the other side. And then I can also go back in with the black and just kind of like darken some stuff while still maintaining the shape. So if I deselect, you can kind of see that it leaves a nice clean shape, especially when you're working with armor, right? It can really help keeping your edges nice and clean. So same thing. My goal isn't to be super exact per se. It's mostly to capture the feeling of it. Right, so wherever it's closer to that lightsaber, it's going to get more green. Sleepy Panda says, I just feel like it's always exaggerating every single depiction. It's not a problem. I don't know why I tend to think about it. That's okay. Like, yeah, it's true. Things are progressing so quickly. But it's definitely hard to predict what's gonna happen. It's exciting though to be living in a time when things are so. I don't think there's ever been a time like today, where things have been so unpredictable and nobody knows what's gonna happen. It's a little scary, but it's also kind of exciting. It's cool because you can also erase things within things that are lassoed, so it can be kind of fun to play around with those shapes. I actually really like stylized illustrations that are just like very much shape based. I just really like the aesthetic of it, and it's actually quite common in credits and such, right? Where these, like in The Incredibles, I remember, and in some other movies, you can really see that the characters are very stylized at the end, or like they begun as these like really stylized shape illustrations before they became these actual characters themselves. So right now I'm just trying to add some highlights and all kind of working within the lasso. Let me know if you have a favorite way of coloring that's different than this, if you work digitally. I would love to kind of learn how you would do this. Because there's like, that's the nice thing about digital, is that you can, you know, arrive at the same result in different ways. This part might be a little bit more green. And then there are just some key parts that I want to draw in the leg. And then you'll notice that I work on both sides together, and the reason I do that is to make sure that I don't do one thing on one side that I like totally forget to do on the other side. So I tend to work on things in tandem, or things that come in pairs. I work on them together, because to me that makes the most sense. And I also think I can probably do it faster. Let's see. And then there's a little bit of like rust and stuff on the armor. So I'm gonna try a chalky brush. Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. Now I want to put some of that rustiness on other parts. Yeah, maybe I'll put a little bit there. And just like some touches here and there. Yeah, cool. Okay. And then for the rest, I'm probably just going to use a smaller brush. Let's stick with this chalk, or maybe this one. And just kind of add some small details. And then for the arms, I'm just going to freehand it. I like how the glow dodge is like affecting my layers on the top. It's pretty cool. I know, I love this chalk brush too. It's so good. And it just like takes it out of that digital look, right? It just like totally takes it out of the super digital look and makes it look much more I don't know what it is about texture that just like makes it look so good. So that textured brush is actually called Chalk Grainy. It's one of Josh's go-to brushes and one of mine as well. I think because we both paint traditionally, we both like this texture for the chalk brush. It's pretty cool. So I'm trying not to over highlight here because I tend to over highlight things when I don't actually need to. Okay, so next I'm going to add some key highlights, like right along the top of the head here. Maybe they need to go a little bit brighter. Okay. So yeah, using shapes to paint, I hope you can see how much easier it can make things, right? Um, it definitely can help simplify things by a lot, especially when you're looking at the references and thinking, oh my gosh, there's like so much that I have to do. There are all these things that feel impossible. But if you break it down for yourself and you just kind of focus on one thing at a time, it can be easier, right? So I always recommend focusing on shapes first. Okay, so now if we're working on we are now done with Grievous, and let's see what we can do with Ahsoka. So Ahsoka is a little bit more complicated because she's got lots of different colors on her, right? Whereas Grievous is mostly just metal. So figuring out like how you want to color her, or how like I want to approach coloring her might be a little bit different than with Grievous. So she is pretty red, right? She's like her skin tone is kind of coppery reddish. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is probably her headdress, because that's what makes her the most iconic. So same thing, I'm just going to select the top here and try giving it a different color. Now, to keep in mind, like I want her to be in silhouette, so it's important to keep her in silhouette, so keep her dark. So you can kind of see my value range is over here, right? So it's kind of in the middle. So if I'm going to go to find like a gray, right, for her headdress, I'm actually going to maintain that value, go maybe a little bit lighter, and then test it out and see. Right, it's getting pretty light. So you can see it starts to disappear from the background. So now let's make it a little bit darker, and then we can now focus on form. I'm just kind of like drawing out the forms before I worry about the stripes. let me do one thing at a time. And then like this glow from the lightsaber, right? That's gonna make it more light and also like more greenish. So I'm probably going to add a little bit of this green up here. But now it's kind of disappearing into the background. So just a little bit of green I think will help. And I like to stay zoomed out when I'm working so that I don't focus too much on those annoying details. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like worrying that everything has to be perfect. So let's highlight this part. And we're gonna do one thing at a time. So I'm just selecting this part to do the stripes. And I'm even going to do it all on one layer, so it's not... It's not too overwhelming. Deselect. Now let's do this part underneath. I'm gonna make her a little bit more dimensional. I feel like I should. I feel like she's kind of got more of a more of this like 3D look. So, you know, as long as like the iconic parts are there, then it's you know, you start to recognize the character. And then I can erase her. Let's erase her arm. Whoops. I can't actually do that. I have to reselect this red and then just like... Why is it doing that? Oh, I have the eraser tool on. There we go. Right, so now her arm is kind of breaking up her headdress. So I kind of draw it all together without even breaking it, and then I break it later. So next I'm gonna do her outfit. So her outfit is like a darker red, and I'm just gonna paint it on. So this is again all on one layer. I can't tell if she's wearing shorts or what she's wearing. But it's gonna be shorts in mine. The yellow glow reflecting off the metal looks so good. Thank you. Alright, let's see. Yeah, you know, I do really love fantasy and sci-fi, so if you guys have any recos for... I don't like where that is placed. That looks weird. I'm just gonna leave it out because it looks very weird. And let's now draw in her cowboy boots. You know, I did digital art for like 20 years without knowing that there was alpha lock. When I learned about alpha lock, I was like, where was I for the last ever since I learned digital art? How come this was not a function from day one? It makes a huge difference. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I would do I wouldn't be able to work like this at all. Okay, so let's give her top here. Yeah, like it's pretty like flat, but it's there, you know? You can see what's going on. I feel like her leg is a little bit short on the right side. Definitely a little bit short. But let's add some more shading. So I'm gonna try to shade so that it's a little more cell shaded. So it's a little bit less detailed. Because I want to show you guys you can do it. You can do it, and you can do a study like this, right? Like a fight scene in like an hour and a half, right? It doesn't necessarily need to take too long. It's mostly just being disciplined and making sure that, you know, you're doing one thing at a time and not overwhelming yourself. Because we tend to overwhelm and complicate things for ourselves. It's not just you, it's me too. I've done it many times. So yeah, trying my best to not not zoom in. Just simply not zooming in can help you do work a lot faster, right? And like just kind of keep things relatively simple. And let's draw in her face. Let's draw in her face. So her face is going to need some lighting. So let's go in, and I just said don't zoom in, and here I am zooming in. My gosh. Okay. Okay, let's give her a little bit more definition. This is where zooming in is going to kind of help me make the details a little bit more refined. Help me make more sense of it all. And then, for example, she's got like lacy boots, right? And lacy gloves. I didn't even notice her lacy gloves, but she's got lacy gloves. So what you can do is, because her gloves are on a separate, or her silhouette is on a separate layer, right? Once you've kind of like refined the silhouette, then we can go in and just like add the lace. So I can take a slightly darker color and just lock my layer, and then use like a hard brush that's a little bit smaller, and then just kind of like draw in. That's even too dark. Start to draw in some of that lace. Right, so for example, make it a little darker first. And then start to, I think I'm going to erase actually, or go back to my original color, because I don't want too much contrast. I just kind of want like an idea of the texture. So even just having a little bit can help it all make sense. And then whenever you're coloring in faces, right, it makes sense to just like color in the eye socket, color in some of the side of the face, like this. And then like the bottom of the nose. Right? So even having like a little bit of that silhouette can really help. She's got this white marking above her eyebrow. So just kind of like putting in some of her facial markings. This kind of helps me focus on getting the just like the overall shapes right without worrying too much about the details. So for example, this facial marking is way too bright. So I'm actually going to tone it down a little bit. So you can always select the right color and then just like shift the value or shift the hue so it's a little bit darker. Yeah, may the 4th be with you all. Beware for the return of the 6th. Well said. I love the month of May because the flowers are blooming, the birds are chirping. My magnolia, I've got this magnolia tree in front of my house and it's so beautiful right now. It always blooms like right close to Mother's Day. It's always blooming. So it's such a beautiful time of year. One of my favorite months. Okay, so she's also got like a belt thing, which I cannot really see at all, but I'm just going to pretend that I can just paint it in. I'm just gonna paint it in roughly. Because for a lot of your favorite characters, right, it doesn't even matter like if everything is perfectly painted or not. It just has to kind of look like them in a way. Like it's gotta, you know, the colors are the same and the overall shapes are the same, and that's it. It doesn't even need to be perfect or anything like that. Okay, so her pants, I can see that like one of her legs is showing a lot more than the other. Like they're not the same length at all. So let me fix that. I need to fix that. Okay, so let's make her leg longer. I'm gonna break it now. Ahsoka, watch out. You're gonna have a broken leg. Watch out, I'm breaking your leg again. Okay. So you can't do this with traditional. So you gotta embrace the digital hacks when you can. She's got these super pointy legs, like super pointy knees, which I always say in figure drawing, like if you're going to point somebody's knees, that's got to be like a stylistic feature. Otherwise, it just looks really weird. But her knees are very pointy, and the backs of her knees are also very small. So I'm going to try to stylize it a little bit more, and kind of make her shorts a little bit shorter. Oh, Kelzoon, are you working traditionally? Good for you. It's definitely harder to do it traditionally. You know what? That's not true. Like, I actually enjoy working traditionally more. But the algorithm here at YouTube really likes digital for the channel. So that's why we're doing mostly digital for these streams. Plus, it's a little bit easier with traditional. The camera can get a little bit wonky. I need to get better equipment. And like in the reference picture, her knee is super pointy, but her other knee isn't pointy. So I'm like, it's not very consistent. I'm gonna try to make it as consistent as I can here. So very, very stylized knees. And then, okay, so now that her legs are like relatively the same size now, let's color them in white. So reselect my original color. And even though they're white, right, even though her legs or her leggings are white, they're actually not white. They are the same as her headdress, right? The same kind of gray tone, and it's pretty dark. So I'm going to also use a textured brush and start by just, whoops, locking the layer and then coloring it in. I like seeing some of that redness underneath, right? Because they're leggings, so if her skin is reddish, right? You can actually see some of that redness, which is cool. And then get a darker color to add some shading. And then there's this blue glow up at the top from the lightsaber. So let's give it a bit of a bluish glow. There we go. And now her pants look super flat. Oh, okay. I need to give her a little bit more shading. And that actually didn't take as long as I thought it would. Okay. Oh yes, her boots. Let's take a look at her boots. So you can tell her boots have texture on them, right? Like you can tell even in this very blurry state that they have texture on them. However, the texture, and it sort of matches the gloves. But the texture, even though it's there, it's not that important. Like it doesn't disrupt the overall form. But we could definitely put it in, right? Just like similar to how we did the gloves. We can definitely put that in. So first just adding a little bit of lighting to it. And my whole thing is really on 3 layers. I've got my lightsabers on one layer, my background on the other, and my silhouettes on the other. So there's just like 3 layers here. and the background, right? So not a whole lot of layers. I don't think you actually need a ton of layers either to make things look pretty good. Also, there's not a lot of texture in the background. So what I can do is add that in. Just a little bit of texture can do a lot. So I'm just going to take a big brush. Let's take this big hairy brush here. And oh, don't worry, Calzoon. I'm very rusty on my Star Wars lore. Very, very rusty. I would love to catch up on it. That was actually one of the things I wanted to do this weekend, was to watch some Star Wars. And that didn't happen because I had too many loads of laundry to do. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to wear clothes. So I think laundry unfortunately took up all my time this weekend. But I will definitely catch up another weekend. I don't even think it needs all this texture. I actually kind of find it distracting. Okay. Oh, I got so distracted. I was supposed to work on her boots, and then I totally didn't. And this is a skirt, not shorts. Okay, I can see they're not shorts. All right. I don't know if anybody can confirm if she actually, let me see. What does she wear? Oh yeah, it is a skirt. Okay. So, all right, let me change this. So if it's a skirt, it would kind of wrap around her much differently. It would kind of go forward more. And it would wrap around her leg like that. It's weird because in the example it actually looks like shorts. So let's have some of it hanging down here. I don't know. I don't like the danglies. I don't think it needs it. All right. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, how do I draw a skirt again? And I just like, my brain is not cooperating. So the skirt would be kind of folded this way, and it would come across like that. Okay. Sometimes I just like need to draw on top of my existing drawing because I have trouble figuring it out. So I will just kind of like figure it out first and then erase my drawing. And then maybe what I need to do is actually draw some folds on the clothing. Whoops. I know, laundry is a never-ending exercise. Okay. Okay, let's give her boots a little bit of texture. So first, let's make the bottoms of the feet darker. So it actually looks like, you know, she's standing on something. And then, what did I do last time? I just kind of like gave it a little bit of texture here, just some squigglies. Just adding some dots. And I think I want to make the lightsabers a lot more, a lot more glowy. Because right now I just kind of use glow dodge. It's easy, but it's not really completely correct either. So first of all, let me actually draw the bottoms of these lightsabers because they are missing. And I think I have to make them a separate layer because I don't want the glow dodge effect on it. So with this lightsaber, let me first sort of draw the bottoms of the lightsabers, just so they all make sense. And then they do have glows on them, so, or not glows, but they're kind of more gray. So I'm just going to add some of the gray. Okay, and then let's use a new layer on top. Let's see what I can do with this lightsaber. So if I just make a copy of it, let me make a copy. Whoops. And I'm just going to turn off my copy so that I have it if I need. And start by just using the brightest color that I have. And see what happens if I just make everything white right here where everything's kind of glowing, right? Everything's white here. And I want to be able to add a glow to it, so I'm going to take, I think I might have to do this manually. Let's see if this can be color dodge. And let's use a airbrush. I very, very rarely use airbrushes. Let's just do normal for now. It's weird how that changes the color. It's so weird. Okay, let me put this under. Okay, I think I need to do... No, it's not color dodge. Oh man, I forget which... I actually forget which layer mode it is. Let's see. See, I like color, but then it somehow the lightsaber is not reacting well to it. Whoa. Yeah, I did try to change it to a skirt. I'm kind of rushing it though, so hopefully it doesn't lose its impact. Okay, let me just merge these layers. I'm getting a little lost here. Oh no, I can't do that. Because the lightsaber has a color dodge on it. I'm like trying to make these glow. But now I can't remember which color mode does the glowy effect. So I'm gonna have to experiment. Anybody know? I totally forgot which one it was. Okay, let me see if I can do this manually without any... with just color. Let's see if I can do just color. Whoops. That's the lightsaber. There we go. Okay, that's working. And now take the green. You use Ibis Paint and Procreate. Those are both really good programs. I've heard really good things about both. I don't necessarily think you need to use a specific program for this. But yeah, it's the functions can all be very similar. Lastly, I wanted to add that like little bit of glow where everything is kind of impacted at the same time. So like over here, and then in the lightsaber part, I'm gonna go really white and just kind of like make this part glow. I feel like there's a more effective way to do this than what I'm doing. But if I can do it manually, then I'm sure you can do it with digital effects. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, it would be really cool to animate a lightsaber duel. Totally. Totally. Okay, so here is my final line art less illustration using just shapes. And I think what I am missing though are some shadows. So let's quickly put that into the background and then we'll call it a day. And then hopefully you guys have been following along or drawing, doing your own fan art. I hope. It would be really cool if you did. If you did do your own fan art, I would love to see it. You can please share it with us on the Discord or on Instagram if you follow us on Instagram. I would love to see what you did if you're following along the stream. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this with you guys and actually showing you how easy it could be. And hopefully you can use this method for your own creations, even when you're drawing like an epic fight scene or something, right? You just start off with basic silhouettes, try to translate the shape of your character into something that's manageable for you, right? Not too complex. Don't worry so much about outlining stuff. A lot of the times that doesn't even matter. Like outlining things don't really even matter. And it really takes a very long time to you know, work with outlines. Sometimes it's just like much easier if you do it with shapes instead. So definitely give that a try. Uh-oh, that part is on the lightsaber part. There we go. Whoops. There we go. So just like cleaning up those little details. And I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I mean, again, I thought it would take a lot longer than it did. So working in a simplified style is sometimes the way you can finish artwork, right? Halzoon, your follow along is a bunch of lines. Limbs is something you're still figuring out, and I'm progressing. You know what? As long as you keep drawing and progressing, then that's all you can really do, right? So good for you for following along. Don't worry that it's still a bunch of lines. It's better than no lines. And yeah, digital art is easier because you can have multiple layers. You can move them around. You can adjust stuff, right? So definitely use the tools that you have. And thanks for everybody who voted in this week's poll. You are the reason this piece happened, because you guys wanted to see me draw two characters more so than I was surprised that Grogu didn't get more votes, really. But you guys are the reason that this piece is looks like the way it does. So thank you so much for voting. If you want to vote on future polls, you can subscribe to the channel and you will see whenever we have a poll to vote on. You'll be able to see it on YouTube. And if you didn't know already, and if you just joined us, Wing Canvas is a school of illustration, and we're dedicated to making art easily accessible for everyone. We're dedicated to making art education free and easily accessible, but we also help art nerds turn their passion for storytelling into income. So if you love telling stories with your art, then check out our website and our classes. And if you want to be part of a lively art nerd community, join our Discord to participate in monthly challenges and to upload your artwork for community feedback. We have a team of awesome volunteers who provide feedback on the Discord, and maybe you'll meet a friend or two there to keep you accountable. All right. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome Star Wars day, and you can join Josh in a week from now on May 11th. Josh will be drawing futuristic vehicles for you guys. So come design some futuristic vehicles to participate in the challenge. Remember, all of the artwork that you do for the stream can also be part of your challenge submission. So, the VOD will be available in a few hours. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.